I left home on a Monday before the morning sun. Mama stood beside the railroad saying, "Boy, don't stay too long." I had $12 in my pocket and a Bible in my coat. She tied my supper in a flour sack and watched that engine smoke. I said, "Chicago's got good wages, I'll send money when I can." She said, "Money never held me like the fingers of my child's hand." Then she pointed toward the window where an oil lamp glowed inside. Said, "I'll leave that lamp burning till you come back down this line." She left that lamp burning low by the window where the southern wind blows. No matter how far that northbound rolls, this old porch is where your tired heart knows. But the years ran faster than a railroad train, and pride kept calling me away. She left that lamp burning low, while I kept saying, "Someday." The factory paid on Friday, but it took the strength from men. I worked beneath the chimney smoke, then worked those nights again. At first I wrote each Sunday, sent $1 when I could. Mama said the cotton failed, but the garden still looked good. Then the letters came less often, and her handwriting grew small. She never spoke about the sickness, never asked me home at all. She only wrote the rivers high, your room is just the same. And every night before I sleep, I light that little flame. She left that lamp burning low by the window where the southern wind blows. No matter how far that northbound rolls, this old porch is where your tired heart knows. But the years ran faster than a railroad train, and pride kept calling me away. She left that lamp burning low, while I kept saying, "Someday." A letter came one winter from the preacher down our road. Said, "Your mama's getting weaker, but she won't let that lamp go." I bought a ticket Tuesday, but the snow delayed the line. By the time we crossed the river, God had taken what was mine. The cabin looked much smaller than the home inside my head. There were weeds around the doorway and cold ashes by her bed. Her Bible lay wide open with my photograph inside, and one match beside the window, but the lamp had finally died. preacher said she asked about me with a final breath that night. Said, tell my boy I never blamed him, and tell him that he's alright. I wish that she had cursed me, I wish she'd called me wrong. Forgiveness is the heaviest thing a guilty man can hold. Now I live inside that cabin, and I work that patch of ground. Every evening when the river turns the Mississippi brown, I place a Bible by the window where her gentle hands once prayed. Then I strike one wooden match as the daylight slips away. Not because she's coming home, not because she lost her way. I keep that old lamp burning for the son who came too late. Now I leave that lamp burning low by the window where the southern wind blows. No matter how far a lost man goes, there's an old front porch his memory knows. The years ran faster than a railroad train and carried my whole life away. So I leave that lamp burning low and whisper, I came home today. Mama, I came home. I left home on a Monday before the morning sun. Mama stood beside the railroad saying, boy, don't stay too long. I left $12 in my pocket and a Bible in my coat. She tied my supper in a flour sack, then watched that engine smoke. I said, Chicago's got good wages, I'll send. My daddy no taught me many words. He taught me where to leave the silence. I was 9 years old that summer when he placed his guitar down. Said, your hands are still too tender, but they'll learn before long. That wooden neck was heavy, those strings cut through my skin. Every time I missed the rhythm, he would make me start again. I tried to play it faster, just to prove that I was grown. Daddy reached across my shoulder and gently stopped the song. He said, son, the blues ain't running from the pain a man goes through. Don't rush the sorrow, let the sorrow speak to you. Don't rush the sorrow, let every hard note breathe. The blues ain't what what your fingers play is what a man can't speak. Leave room between the heartbeats for the truth to wander through. Don't rush the sorrow, son. Let the sorrow sing through you. Daddy worked the cotton till the daylight left the field. His back was bent by 40, but his pride refused to kneel. He'd come home with empty pockets, dust and blood beneath his nails, then sit beneath the old oak tree and make that guitar wail. Mama said he played for freedom from the burdens of the day. Every slide became a memory, every bend took pain away. He never cursed the land or weather, never blamed what he had known. He placed his grief between the strings so he wouldn't bring it home. Don't rush the sorrow, let every hard note breathe. The blues ain't what your fingers play, it's what a man can't speak. Leave room between the heartbeats for the truth to wander through. Don't rush the sorrow, son. Let the sorrow sing through you. One evening late in winter, he came walking from the rain. He sat down without his supper with one hand across his chest. He said, "Bring that guitar closer, there's one song you need to know." But halfway through the final verse, his fingers let it go. I carried him into the cabin, Mama whispered out his name. By sunrise he was somewhere beyond the cotton and the rain. That unfinished song stayed with me like a door without a key. For 30 years I played those notes but never found what they should be. I searched for Daddy's final chord in every town and bar. I thought a better man might find it if he traveled wide and far. But sorrow doesn't give its meaning to a young man passing through. Some songs wait until you've lived enough to understand what they must do. Now my hair is turned like cotton, and my homeboy calls me old. He brought his little son today to hear those stories told. I placed my father's guitar in those small and careful hands. He tried to play it quickly like a child becoming a man. I reached across his shoulder the way Daddy once reached mine. Then the ending of that old song finally came to life. It wasn't hidden in the frets or any trick my hands could do. The final chord was everything my father carried me through. Don't rush the sorrow, let every hard note breathe. The blues ain't what your fingers play, it's what your life will teach. Leave room between the heartbeats for the ones who carried you. Don't rush the sorrow, child. Let through you. My daddy never finished that song. He left the ending for the man I would become. My daddy never taught me many words. He taught me where to leave the silence. I was 9 years old that summer when he placed his guitar down. Said your hands are still too tender, but they'll learn before long. That wooden neck was heavy, those strings cut through my skin. Every time I missed the rhythm, he would make me start again. I tried.
When I was a boy, I thought Mama wasn't hungry. It took me years to understand that lie. We had beans most every evening, cornbread when the flour came. 5, 10 plates around the table, 4 would carry something warm. Mama stood beside the cook stove with her apron tied up tight. Said I tasted while I made it, I don't need a plate tonight. She would smile and pour the water, break the final piece in two, give the larger half to my sister, like a mother always knew. We believed her empty stomach when she said that she was full. Children trust the gentle stories that keep hunger from the room. Mama never ate until we did. She gave away what little living gave. She filled our plates with everything her tired hands could save. She said, I've already eaten, and thank the Lord for what we had. Mama never ate until we did, and never let us know it hurt that bad. Daddy worked the levee till the fever took him down. After that, the little money stopped arriving from the town. Mama washed for Mr. Carter, picked the cotton afternoon, then came home to mend our clothing by the light of one small moon. Her shoes had holes by winter, but she bought my school book new. Said a mind can cross a river that these feet may never do. I complained the coat was secondhand and supper tasted plain. She turned away to hide the tears, then served us all again. Mama never ate until we did. She gave away what little living gave. She filled our plates with everything her tired hands could save. She said, I've already eaten, and thank the Lord for what we had. Mama never ate until we did, and never let us know it hurt that bad. One night I woke past midnight, heard a spoon against a plate. Mama sat alone inside the dark, scraping what we hadn't ate. There were only crumbs and gravy and a heel of yesterday's bread. She held each bite a moment, like a prayer before her lips. That was when I first discovered why her Sunday dresses hung, why her cheeks had grown so hollow, while her children grew up strong. I went back beneath my blanket and cried without a sound. Too young to lift her burden, old enough to see it now. Years later, I sent money from the railroad work up north. Wrote, buy yourself a proper meal and leave that washing work. She returned half of the dollars with a letter folded small. Said, your sister needs new winter shoes. I don't need much at all. Even with an empty cupboard, even with her body warm, Mama's hunger always waited till her children had enough. I came home one early springtime when her hands could cook no more. She was lying near the window, facing that familiar door. I made beans the way she taught me, burned the bread along one side. Then I carried her a full plate and sat down by her side. She smiled and said, I'm not hungry, like she'd said when I was small. I took one spoon and gently told her, Mama, I remember it all. So I fed her every mouthful till the final light grew dim. For once, Mama ate before I did, and I thank the Lord for it. Mama never ate until we did. She gave away what little living gave. She filled our lives with everything her loving hands could save. She said, I've already eaten, and carried hunger with a smile. Mama never ate until we did, so her children could survive. Mama, supper's ready. You eat first tonight. Eli lived across the river in a cabin made of pine. Every Sunday after supper, he would bring his guitar to mine. We'd place 2 chairs out on the porch and tune beneath the moon. He always played the rhythm, I always carried the tune. We never made much money, never traveled very far, but every field became a kingdom when we held those old guitars. The neighbors heard us laughing till the morning chased the dark. Now there's one chair left empty and one shadow on the porch. There's one chair left on the porch, one guitar silent by the door. The evening comes as slowly as it always did before. But there's no hand to hold the rhythm, no old voice to miss the chord. Just one chair facing mine, and one man on the porch. was 17. His shirt was torn at the shoulder, mine was barely any clean. He said, "Boy, you pull too slowly." I said, "You talk too much." By sundown we were brothers, though we never called it such. He stood beside me at my wedding. I carried his first son. He found me by the river when my own sweet Mary was gone. Some men speak their love with letters, some men kneel and pray. Eli brought his old guitar and simply chose to stay. There's one chair left on the porch, one guitar silent by the door. The evening comes as slowly as it always did before. But there's no hand to hold the rhythm, no old voice to miss the chord. Just one chair facing mine, and one man on the porch. Last winter took his breathing. The doctor came too late. Eli knew before we told him he had reached his final gate. He said, "Bring both chairs inside now. This cold has found my bones." Then he placed his guitar in my hands and said, "Don't let her sit alone." I said, "You'll play it Sunday when the weather settles warm." He smiled like men who know the truth, but let their friends be wrong. Then he asked me for our oldest song, the one we used to start. I played the tune with shaking hands while he whispered his old part. By morning, there was only one heart keeping time. The preacher spoke of heaven and a choir beyond the sky, but I kept thinking heaven better let old Eli play. They laid him near the oak tree where the river bends away. I placed one rusted guitar string across the earth that day. Now every Sunday evening I set both chairs outside. I tune a scarred old guitar and place it by my side. Sometimes the wind moves through the strings and makes a quiet sound. For half a breath I swear his hands have somehow come around. So I play the rhythm he once played and leave my own tune gone, because friendship is still listening when the other voice moves on. There's one chair left on the porch, but two guitars beside the door. The evening comes as slowly as it always did before. I still hear his hands keep rhythm when the southern night gets warm. So there may be one man sitting, but there are two souls on this porch. You missed that final chord again, Eli, just like you always did. Just
like you always did.
Morning frost came early, silver resting on the ground. The cotton stood like tired ghosts without making any sound. My hands no longer close right, my back won't straighten tall. But I've worked this field for 50 years, and I know the final call. The owner came on horseback, said no planting here next spring. The northern man had bought the land for timber and machines. He said leave whatever's standing, it ain't worth bending down. I said a man should finish what he starts, one more row before sundown. One more row before sundown, one more line through this tired ground. I gave my back to this red earth, though it never knew what I was worth. A man can leave with empty hands, but he won't leave his labor lying down. Let me finish one more row, one more row before sundown. My Mary used to meet me with cold water by the tree. She could hear my stomach growling before hunger spoke through me. We raised 3 children on this soil, 2 stayed and 1 moved on. The youngest took the Memphis train before his beard had grown. He wrote, "Daddy, come up north now, there's factory work in town." But Mary's grave was on the hill and my roots were too far down. Then the letters stopped arriving and the years kept coming round. So I planted every spring and worked each row till sundown. One more row before sundown, one more line through this tired ground. I gave my back to this red earth, though it never knew what I was worth. A man can leave with empty hands, but he won't leave his labor lying down. Let me finish one more row, one more row before sundown. Near noon, a boy came walking from the road beyond the gate. He wore city shoes and carried my son's eyes upon his face. He said, "Sir, my name is Samuel. My daddy sent me south. He said I'd find my grandpa
with a blues song in his mouth. He handed me a letter that had traveled many miles. It said, "I'm sorry, Daddy, I became too proud to write." The boy rolled up his sleeves, though his hands were soft and brown. Then he took the sack beside me and joined my final row before sundown. I taught him how to pull it without tearing up the stem. He asked why I kept working for land that wasn't mine. I said the field don't own my labor, and the owner don't own me. Every honest thing these hands have done belongs to my memory. The winter sun was sinking when we reached the final end. My grandson stood beside me with white cotton in his hands. For 50 years I crossed that field with no name upon the ground. But now my blood had walked beside me on that final journey down. We placed our sacks beneath the oak where Mary used to wait. Then he said, "Come north with me, Grandpa. Daddy's waiting at the station." I looked back across the empty rows as evening settled brown. The field had taken everything, but it couldn't hold me now. No more rows after sundown, no more bending to this ground. I gave my youth to this red earth, but now I finally know my worth. A man may leave with empty hands, still richer than the ones who held him down. I finished one last row. Now take me home before sundown, Mary. The work is done.
The storm took every board above us, but it never touched what brought us there. The wind came through on Saturday and shook the river town. It lifted up the chapel roof, then laid the steeple down. The rain destroyed the hymn books, the windows lost their glass. By morning half the wooden church was scattered through the grass. Old Reverend James stood silent with his Bible in his hand. Said, "I preached here 47 years, I don't know where to stand." Then Sister Ruth walked through the mud, placed one chair upon the floor. Said the Lord was here before these walls, He'll still be here once more. A church don't need a roof for heaven to hear the truth. We can pray beneath the open sky with rain where rafters used to lie. These walls were made by human hands. Faith was made to carry through. The storm may take the building, but a church don't need a roof. Sunday morning, 12 folks gathered where 100 used to meet. Some brought boards and some brought Bibles. Some had nothing but their feet. Mr. Henry brought his hammer, though his hands had lost their strength. Little Thomas held an umbrella over Reverend James's head. No piano played the opening, no bell announced the hour. Just the sound of muddy footsteps and the scent of broken flowers. The preacher opened to the songs, but the wind turned every page. So he closed the book and spoke from memory, with water on his face. A church don't need a roof for heaven to hear the truth. We can pray beneath the open sky, with rain where rafters used to lie. These walls were made by human hands. Faith was made to carry through. The storm may take the building, but a church don't need a roof. Came from down the road with 3 children by her side. She said the river took their cabin and her husband hadn't survived. No one asked what church she came from. No one asked her family name. Sister Ruth removed her Sunday coat and wrapped it from the rain. The offering plate held pennies, 3 potatoes and some bread. Old Henry placed his wedding ring, then quietly bowed his head. The preacher said, keep your silver, give the kindness you can spare. Before the final word was spoken, every family took a chair. I used to think that faith was stained glass glowing in the sun, a polished cross above the door, and hymns when work was done. But I saw God beneath a storm cloud, passing blankets hand to hand, and learned that holy ground is anywhere one soul helps another stand. Timber from the ruins and the mud. Every nail was driven slowly, every board was paved with love. By spring the chapel stood again, with a bell above the door. But something in us understood what we hadn't known before. So we left one section open, where the morning light comes through. A little piece of endless sky, where the broken roof once stood. And every time the sunlight falls across that wooden floor, I remember when we had no church and found one even more. A church don't need a roof for heaven to hear the truth. We can pray beneath the open sky, with rain where rafters used to lie.
love is what will carry through. The storm may take the building, but a church don't need a roof. Lord, thank you for what the storm left standing.
I found the road by accident, or maybe by design. The weeds had swallowed every turn. I knew when I was 9. The gate was hanging sideways, the barn had lost its roof, but underneath the years and vines I recognized the truth. That cabin looked much smaller than the one inside my mind. Still my hand reached for the doorway and found the latch first time. The hinges cried like family, the floor bent beneath my feet. I thought the place had died alone, but the house remembered me. The house remembered me. Every board knew where I stood. The wall still held the pencil lines from when my childhood grew. I left to find a better life beyond those fields and trees. I forgot the house that raised me, but the house remembered me. There were scratches near the fireplace where Daddy moved his chair, a faded square above the mantel where Mama's picture had been there. The kitchen window faced the garden she planted every spring. I could almost smell the cornbread, I could almost hear her sing. My brother carved his initials in the step beside the door. He went west to find his fortune. We never heard from him no more. His letters stopped one winter, but his name remained beneath. All those years that porch kept waiting, and the house remembered me. The house remembered me. Every board knew where I stood. The wall still held the pencil lines from when my childhood grew. I left to find a better life beyond those fields and trees. I forgot the house that raised me, but the house remembered me. Upstairs beneath the rafters, I found a wooden box, my first blue shirt from Sunday, and Daddy's broken watch. There was a ribbon from my sister, who only lived till 5. Mama kept her little treasures like they might keep her alive. Beneath them lay a letter in an envelope turned brown. My name was written on it, but it never left this town. Her hands had grown too tired before
before the final page was through. It said, "This home will always know you, even if the world forgets you." I spent my years becoming what I thought a man should be. I built my name in other towns for people who forgot me. I traded roots for motion. I called loneliness being free. But an empty house knew more about the man inside of me. Came Thursday with the papers for the land. Said the roof was past repairing and the walls could barely stand. He asked me if I'd sell it for the timber and the ground. I looked across the silent rooms and slowly shook my head. Now I sleep beside the fireplace on the floor where I was born. Each morning light comes through the cracks and warms those boards once more. I cannot raise the fallen barn or bring back those who've gone, but I can keep one window burning when the evening settles down. The house remembered me when I had forgotten who I was. Every scar upon its timber matched the scars that I had brought. I left to fight a better life, but better ain't always free. The whole world let me wander, then this house remembered me. I came looking for an empty house. Instead, I found everybody I used to be. I found the road by accident, or maybe by design. Swallow every turn I knew when I was 9. The gate was hanging sideways, the barn had lost its roof, but underneath the years and vines I recognized the truth. That cabin looked much smaller.
I've been trying to get somewhere. That river never moved fast, but it always arrived. I was born beside the water in a cabin made of pine. Mama washed our clothes on Monday. Daddy worked the county line. As a boy I chased the steamboats, running barefoot through the mud, dreaming every bend was hiding somewhere richer than our blood. I told that river I'll be leaving before these fields can make me old. The water moved without an answer, carrying sunlight through the gold. The river never hurries, but it always finds its way. It carries yesterday behind it while it meets another day. I spend my whole life running from the place I started from. The river never hurries, still it knows where it belongs. I left home at 20 with a suitcase and a song. I thought the world was waiting to admit that I belonged. I worked the docks in Memphis, loaded timber in the rain, spent my wages every Friday trying to drink away my name. I loved a woman briefly, but I loved the road much more. By the time I learned the difference, she had closed and barred the door. Every town promised tomorrow, every train swore I was free, but every road I followed turned that river back to me. The river never hurries, but it always finds its way. It carries yesterday behind it while it meets another day. I spend my whole life running from the place I started from. The river never hurries, still it knows where it belongs. I returned here after 40 with more scars than I could count. The cabin roof had fallen, the old well had all dried out. The oak tree still remembered where my father tied the swing. The church bell across the water still had the same old ring. I sat down beside the river where my mother used to pray, and watched a piece of driftwood turn, then slowly float away. For the first time I stopped asking where the water meant to go. Some things don't need an answer, they just need the room to flow. I have buried friends and lovers, I have watched my hair turn gray. I have cursed the hands of heaven, then thanked the Lord next day. I have carried things too heavy just because I called them mine. But the river taught me letting go is not the same as leaving life behind. Now I fish here every morning, though the fish don't always bite. I watch the fog lift from the water as the darkness turns to light. Young men pass me on the highway, chasing dreams they cannot name. I don't tell them not to wander, every man must learn the same. But if they come back tired, with their pride and pockets gone, this river will be waiting like they'd never been away long. The river never hurries, but it always finds its way. It carries every sorrow
without asking it to stay. I spent my whole life searching for the peace I started from. The river never hurries, still it brought this old man home. When my final evening finds me, lay me somewhere I can hear that water move.
There was a time each morning when the station bell would ring, and every porch along Main Street could feel the iron sing. The mail came down from Memphis, the flour came from town. Young men left with restless eyes, and old friends gathered round. My daddy hauled the luggage, my mama sold sweet bread. I shined the shoes of travelers and listened where they'd been. That whistle was the heartbeat of everything we knew. Then one cold day the train rolled on and never came back through. When the train stopped coming, the town forgot to breathe. The storefronts lost their voices, and the young folks started leaving. No whistle crossed the cotton fields, no engine shook the ground. When the train stopped coming, the silence settled down. Mr. Johnson closed the barber shop, the bank removed its name, the hotel locked its upstairs rooms, but left the sign the same. The preacher lost his youngest son to work in Tennessee. The schoolhouse held 12 children where 100 used to be. My Mary worked the ticket booth with ribbons in her hair. I used to miss the evening train just to keep her waiting there. We carved our names beneath the bench and promised not to roam. But promises grow lighter when the work and money go. When the train stopped coming, the town forgot to breathe. The storefronts lost their voices, and the young folks started leaving. No whistle crossed the cotton fields, no engine shook the ground. When the train stopped coming, the silence settled down. One Tuesday on a bus that headed north. She said, "Come when you are ready. There is nothing for us here." I told her I was needed by my mother and the land. She placed her final ticket in the center of my hand. For 20 years she wrote me from a city built of smoke
Her first few letters begged me, then the begging slowly broke. The final one said simply, I hope you found your peace. But a man can guard an empty town until he's all that's left to keep. I blame the railroad company, I blame the county men, I blame the ones who packed their lives and never looked again. But some things end without a villain, some roads simply change their way, and holding tight to yesterday won't make it choose to stay. Station roof is leaning, and the clock has lost its hands. Wildflowers fill the railway yard where locomotives once had stood. I sit beneath the waiting room sign, though nobody waits today. The bench still bears two faded names that weather couldn't take away. Sometimes in the early morning, when the fog lies on the ground, I feel it trembling through the rails and hear that distant sound. But it's only thunder rolling across a town asleep. Still I rise and face the railroad like someone came for me. When the train stopped coming, the town forgot to breathe. But every board inside this station still remembers those who leave. No whistle crosses the cotton fields, no engine shakes the ground. But somewhere past the river, that old train